Holy moly, what a record for 20 bucks. Oh, we must discuss. Let's go. Everybody, thanks for joining today. I appreciate it. You have reached the Modest Audiophile channel, and my name is Mark. Thank you so much for coming on by. Yeah, we're going to talk about, where have I been the last couple of years? One of the best steals, value for your money records that I've come across this year. I had no idea this thing sounded this good. What are we talking about? We are talking about Jimi Hendrix Experience. Are you experienced? Let me tell you, after listening to this, I am experienced. All right, so real quick, we're not going to go into the down and dirty of this record because most of you probably already know about it or know of the making of this and all of the pertinent information. I'll leave a link in the description below. There's a ton of information on this if you really want to drill down on how it was recorded and all of that stuff, all the stuff going on over in England in 1967. But right now, let's just talk about the highlights, okay? The Jimi Hendrix Experience, this was his debut album. It was recorded between October 23rd, 1966 and April 4th, 1967. A couple things I didn't know. It was released in the UK on May 12th, 1967 on Polydor, and it was released in the United States many months later on August 23rd, 1967 on Reprise Records. Okay, so a couple things. Let's just talk about the value first off before even listening to this. Again, I found this, so here's the story. I'll take a step back. This past weekend we had to buy our kids another car, and because the previous one, the repair cost came out higher than the value of the car. So always love when that happens. So yes, my wife and I, we went out there and got them another car this weekend. And afterwards I said, well, why don't we go stop by the old Barnes & Noble for a cup of coffee, iced coffee, and I'm going to take a look at the records and see if there's anything there that I want. And I flipped for a while, and there really wasn't anything that was grabbing me. This was a copy of this. It was the last copy, and I snagged it because of a couple different things. So here's the front cover, right? You've seen it a million times. See the back cover. Seen that a million times. But I'll put a picture of what I'm reading right now on the side here. This is the authorized Hendrix Family Edition. All analog mastering from the original 2-track master tapes by George Marino. Complete original artwork and manufactured by Quality Record Pressings. Yeah, that got me. Quality Record Pressings. Who are they? They're the ones that do the Analog Productions pressings. So, yeah, this was gonna, in my mind, I'm like, okay, we've got a high quality item here, even before I put the needle down on it. When I opened this up, there is no candy in here, and that's fine, right? Just a very small, decent stock cardboard, nothing special. But on the inner sleeve, it came with this, right? It came with a poly sleeve. Fantastic, Quality Record Pressings. That's a nice touch. And a bit more information on this before we get to really what you want to know, how it sounds. So right now, obviously, Jimi Hendrix, guitars and vocals, but I didn't know he played the piano on Are You Experienced? That's new for me. Noel Redding did the backing vocals on Foxy Lady, Fire, and Purple Haze. Mitch Mitchell, obviously, drums. Percussion on Stone Free, not on this album. And Can You See Me, backing vocals on Fire as well. So there was also a difference between the United States pressing song list and the UK pressing song list. This album here is taken from the United States track listing. Additional personnel, didn't know this, the backing vocals on Hey Joe were done by the Breakaways. Never heard of them, so I need to go look them up. We have Dave Siddle doing engineering on Manic Depression, Love or Confusion, I Don't Live Today, Fire. Hey Joe, Stone Free, Purple Haze, and The Wind Cries Mary. Eddie Kramer did engineering on The Wind Cries Mary. Are you experienced? Lover Confusion, Fire, and Third Stone from the Sun. Mike Ross did engineering on Foxy Lady and A Third Stone from the Sun. Okay, enough about that. Did I 20 bucks. 20 bucks. I'm going to say that a few more times during this. $20. Wow. Best value out there that I've come across this year. Just under Neil Young's Harvest. How does it sound? I'll tell you how it sounds. So, as always, running this through my system, I've got the Rotel at 73 volume, because this album was loud. It was louder than I expected. So I did a couple dB checks, right? First one was on Purple Haze. With the volume at 73, I got a low end of 66 decibels, a high end of 92, and an average of 84. And then I did another dB check on Hey Joe. That came in low end of 75, high end of 94, and average of 84. Sweet spot. Excellent sounding. Soundstage on this thing, it was really, really good. 5+ feet left to right of the speakers, and up to about 5 feet in the room for the center imaging, or overall imaging, I should say, right up to the ceiling in my room. I put great imaging and in-room depth. This is an intimate album, believe it or not. Like, Mark, Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced intimate? Yeah, this is an intimate album, and we'll go through, when we go through the songs, we'll explain why. As far as the bass, mids, and treble, bass were powerful and very, very clear. No issues with the bass whatsoever on this. In fact, there was a heck of a lot more of it than I remembered this album having. We'll get to that in a second too. The mids were, I put awesome vocals, crunchy guitar, and a good drum snare punch. Mids were really, really good. And the treble, very nice high-end sparkle, especially on a couple tunes, and we'll talk about those in a second too. From the soundscape, more than I remembered for sure. Again, I first came across this album in high school, right? Gen Xer here. Yeah, we were fans of Jimi Hendrix growing up, and the thing was, right, I graduated high school in '87. It was only 20 years after this thing was cut. It still blows my mind today. Yeah, but my friends and I, we got into Jimmy pretty good back in the day, and we were always listening to this album on that 1980s rack system, right, with the Sony or Pioneer or whatever. But it never, ever, ever sounded as good as what it sounds like in this room right now. Again, nothing very special, just a modestly priced and built out hi-fi system. This album is remarkable. All right. You can hear a little bit of tape hiss. Again, the room being, the album being very intimate, you can hear a little bit of the tape hiss. It's not distracting, it's just part of the overall recording. Kind of tells you you're in the room. Really, really nice. The tones are some of the words that came to mind when I listened to this. Raw. This thing is far more raw and crunchy. It's got growl, full of punch. Stuff you don't feel in the car. Stuff you don't feel in that 1980s teenagers cheapo systems. Certainly don't hear it on the streaming or a Pandora, Amazon Music, Tidal, whatever you want to say on a boombox. Nope, you don't feel that. Putting it in this room, this was an experience, everybody. I put this album breathes. You get that space. And I don't know if it's because of the 2-track recording. When I saw that on the hype sticker, I went 2-track, I go, okay, this can't be terribly good. Or I should say, it can't be terribly complicated or exciting. The engineering guys on this thing did a hell of a job. Man, this thing sounds incredible. And again, we'll talk about some of the songs here. All right, let's go into some of the songs. Side 1. And now, before I get to side 1, the last thing I'll say about the album in general is it's like hearing it for the very first time again. I can just imagine what the people and the artist and Jimmy's peers or the fans in general must have heard in '67 when they first heard this thing. My gosh, nothing had been heard like it before, and hearing it again the last couple days was truly amazing, really. And for $20, and we'll say this again and again and again, you got to get yourself a copy of this thing. It's incredible. All right, it starts off side one with Purple Haze. Right away, in the room soundstage, in your face, very, very clear solo. At the end of this song, right, you get those high-end guitars, and it's like a bunch of bees buzzing around in your room here. The treble, when I meant sizzle and sparkle, you know it right away in the soundstage at the end of this song. It's sizzling, those guitars at the end of the song. I've never experienced hearing this song this way before. Man, it was great. All right into song 2 is Manic Depression. First words here, so raw. I've never ever heard this song this way before. You hear every note, and just as importantly, you hear everything in between the notes. You can hear the amp is just on that cusp of breakup, and when Jimmy turns it up or digs in a little bit more, it goes over the edge into breakup. You don't hear that. I've never heard that this way before. Really cool. Excellent vocal clarity as well. In this song and just about every song on the album, you can start to hear the nuances of Jimmy's vocals. Again, it's like hearing it for the first time for this guy. And heavy bass during the ending. The bass just comes in and, I'm not going to say smooths out, that's not the right wording, but fills out. The bass just fills out the room at the end of this song. Really good. All right, into Hey Joe, right? When we've got those great backing vocals by the Breakaways, which I've never heard before. Hey Joe, in this case, was huge. Filled up the room. The backing vocals really gave it depth, unlike I've heard it before in the car radio, right? This was full of punch. More punch than I've heard in this song. You got the electric and the lead guitars coming in on the right side, and it's so aggressive. Again, it's like you're in the studio, and in some cases you feel like, you're in the studio with them. Amazing sound quality coming off of a $20 album. All right, coming out of Hey Joe into Love or Confusion. Jumps out of the speakers to begin with. This album has so much energy and pop in it. Yeah, I'm going to say that on most songs here. Hearing both guitar parts so clearly, right? You got the rhythm and you've got Jimmy playing, obviously both rhythm and lead, and you can distinguish them so much more than I could before. And I put here, it was so tight. And in this song in particular, yes, you can hear Jimmy's vocals, the fluctuations in his vocal cords, the nuances in his tone. Really, really nice. All right, leaving Love or Confusion to the 5th song, May This Be Love. In the room soundscape right now. You've got the guitar is just dripping with reverb and delay. Maybe I'm paying attention to it more in this room, but I swear I've never heard it quite like this before. Excellent, excellent recording. Let me also say this, I didn't say it at the beginning. I didn't hear any snap, crackle, or pops on this album. It was brand new. I cleaned it a couple times. I didn't hear any surface noise. The album was perfectly flat. Again, no one was more surprised than me for $20. Oh my. All right, back to May This Be Love. The vocals on this, they were tender. Jimmy's vocals were very tender on this song, to me anyway, and hearing a different side of his vocal clarity that I had not really heard before. You get some very nice drum and guitar panning towards the second half and end of the song. In fact, I had to check the time. I knew this came out before Fleetwood Mac's Albatross, which was 1969. But I was that was in my head when I was listening to this. So I think that, and I'll get to a couple more songs, Jimmy influenced so many artists of the time and subsequently afterwards. And you're hearing some of the snippets in these songs. I mean, May This Be Love, I'm hearing yeah, I'm hearing hints of what is yet to come with Fleetwood Mac and Peter Green a couple years down the road with what they're going to do. That's the vibe I got with May This Be Love. And the last song on the first side is I Don't Live Today, Oh There Ain't No Life Nowhere, Jimmy says. Yeah, great tune. Snappy snare right there in the center to begin with. Jimmy's vocals are on the right. Cymbals and guitar, and cymbals on the left, guitar left, left center, center left. The guitar is just, he's stabbing you throughout the course of the song. Very aggressive. Great panning effect as well. I mean, obviously 2 tracks they're doing, the engineers are doing everything they can to make this thing sound miraculous, and they did. Yeah, I mean, hearing Jimmy, you know, kind of mumble some of those things near the end of the song, you never heard it more clearly than you do now on this album. Or I've never heard it more clearly than I heard after several listenings of this particular $20 record. On to side 2. Side 2 starts with The Wind Cries Mary. Right away, great cymbals in the beginning. It projects right into the room. A song that we've all heard countless times, The Wind Cries Mary. Yeah, heard it again for the first time here. A lot more complex than I had previously thought. Very intimate song / recording. You get that sense of being right there in the studio while they cut this. You can hear, you want to crawl inside this music so much because you can hear the air and space, and I get that sense of, okay, there's room for me. I can place myself in and amongst all the instruments, and the clarity is excellent. Okay, you've got the rhythm guitar in the center of the image, drums on the right, lead guitar and vocals on the left. I put here, the guitar strings have so much snap to them. Again, do yourself a favor, $20. The amount of clarity you're getting out of this album is miraculous. All right, on to Fire. Song number 2, great snare drums. Very precise, and jumps into the room and slaps you around for a couple minutes. You know the song. You think you know the song. Let me put it that way. Yeah, experience it on this release. It's going to toss you around a bit. Great version of, a great listening experience. We'll just say that. Probably the best listening experience for me on the entire album is song number 3 on side 2, Third Stone from the Sun. An experience for sure. Oh my gosh. I put Trip Fest, an epic tune, mammoth soundstage, this whole wall was becoming the soundstage. I put simply amazing that this was done in 1967 on 2 tracks. Great engineering I put down here. Really, nothing more to be said except enjoy the ride. And it's a hell of a ride. And you'll never hear surf music again, Jimmy says on this song. Let me say this. When I listened to this album, as soon as I got it on Sunday, I think it was, a couple of days ago. Today being, what is today? Today's Wednesday, so yeah, I got it on a Sunday. And right away, let me put it on. I listened to it, was blown away, immediately played it again after that. And as I'm listening to it, I'm hearing stuff that other bands were doing. Like I said earlier, Jimmy, really, stuff that was coming out of this album, other bands, peers at the time, really took note and started to incorporate it into their music. And what I was hearing I could hear fragments of Pink Floyd in my head. While I'm listening to this song, Third Stone from the Sun, I'm hearing Floyd, I'm hearing Zeppelin, I'm hearing a little Doors, a little Who, a little Fleetwood Mac, like I mentioned earlier. Jimi Hendrix really influenced, shocker, Mark, like, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But hearing it, I can hear the influences so much in this one song. What a song, what an experience, Third Stone from the Sun. You gotta listen to this on this release. All right, 4th song, Foxy Lady. Right in the beginning, you can see the strings, you can see the Strat, you can see Jimmy playing it. Jimmy's vocals are right there on the left, projecting right into the room. It's raw, and I love it when he comes, "I'm coming to get you." Yeah. Fire, you've heard it. You heard it in movies, you heard it on soundtracks, you've heard it on cassettes, you've heard it on CDs, you may have heard it on if you're lucky enough and you've heard it on vinyl, great. But on this release, it's fantastic. All right, last song on the album is Are You Experienced? And I just put I Am Now. Big, wide, and full. This wasn't coming off the FM radio channel in the car any longer. This was in my room. So many textures of sound in this album, on this song and the album. Let me just say this, like you get a nice backwards guitar effect in this song, right? You got to think Jimmy got a little bit of a sense of, you get a little bit of sense of the Beatles' Revolver, which came out, I believe, a little bit early, a couple months prior to this album, when he was recording the album, and you do get that sense of a little bit of influence, perhaps, by I think it was Paul McCartney backward. I think he did the backward guitar part on Taxman. Yeah, I think. Anyway, that's what I'm saying in my head, that Jimmy probably felt a little bit of that and said, oh yeah? Well, let's throw a little bit of that, a hell of a lot more of that on Are You Experienced? Great stuff. Love this album. So happy that I got it. For 20 bucks, it's a steal. It's an absolute steal. I picked it up at Barnes & Noble. I just kept saying, 20 bucks, it's an all analog. All analog, and the only thing that's even close to it, probably value this year, that I've come to be aware of, is the Neil Young Harvest, which I did a review, I don't know, a month or two back on that one. This thing sounded exquisite. And that's it, everybody. So, yeah. You want to hear this album like it's your first time again? Go out there, find the authorized Hendrix Family Edition. I believe it's, in this case, it was 180 gram. I think they came out with a 200 gram one a couple years earlier. You still may find it. Everything is the exact same as far as the recording goes. It is all analog by George Marino, and I couldn't be happier. For 20 bucks, a steal. I've said that for the last time now, okay? So yeah, hey, I'm recording this during the week of the 4th of July here in the United States, Independence Day. If you're here or the rest of the world, you got a weekend coming up, yeah, go out there, find this thing. Seriously, go find it, because it'll make you think like you're hearing it for the first time again. Schedule yourself some downtime, grab your favorite beverage like I did, put this thing on the turntable, and just be amazed about what the heck they were doing back in 1967 to make this thing sound so good. I promise you, you'll have a huge smile on your face. Even if you're not the biggest Jimi Hendrix fan out there, the quality of this recording is gonna blow you away. That's all I'll say, okay? Have a great rest of your week. Thanks for stopping by. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll try to get something out here again shortly. I got a surprise coming in the mail, hopefully this week or early next week. And I can't wait to dig into that album. And I think you guys will like that too. So that's it for now. Take care, everybody. Thanks.